Yes, welcome back again, and very good evening. And today, as we always promise our audience to come up with some interesting topics to discuss. Right? Again, we are here with a very interesting topic to discuss, and the topic is woke mind virus. As we know that this phrase is made up of two words. I mean, woke and mind virus. So woke, as you know that it's a state of awakening, right? When somebody becomes aware, they're kind of woke in a woke state, or mind virus suggests something negative, and together it gives both meanings. I mean, positive as well as negative. And somewhere, as when somebody has reached a heightened state of awakening, sometimes this is kind of an overthinking, and over uh, means you can say that you are thinking too much about something.
Excessive political correctness.
Yes. So yeah, excessive political correctness, correct. And this is somewhere, this can lead you to another state, or another dimension, right? So this is something which we're going to discuss right over here. And for this, I've got my friend, sitting across me, and he would be discussing on the topic, and he will be going into the depth of the topic, so that the audience can have the new learnings and new insights into the topic, and they will get to know so many different things that they may not be aware of
Right.
right now. So Robin, I want you to first explain this topic to the audience, so that they can know what we are going to discuss exactly, and what will they be getting to know when they listen to this episode. Over to you.
Okay. So first of all, good evening to you and to all the viewers. Uh, Without mincing my word, I must admit that when I heard this term for the first time, I found it much intriguing because we have my woke and virus at the same time. So I got little perplexed because I was somewhere failed to understand the reason behind this particular phrase and what particular scenario it states or represents, right? So I dealt with much of data, specifically all those kinds of incidents that took place in the last 5 to 10 years. And to a certain extent, I could say that yes, one must understand about this newly introduced term. However, it's not that much new. In fact, it was introduced somewhere in the beginning of the 20th century. I guess I'm not pretty much accurate on the data, but I can simply say that when people in Africa were facing racial criticism as well as discrimination, so this woke particular kind of terminology or as an instrument which helped people to raise their voice against authority came out and became so popular because it provided certain certainty and always on and also strengthen the stability of a society. So this woke could be understand this whole phrase, that is woke mind virus. This particular woke could be understood as the state, the awakening state of a person, right? So when we all are aware about certain issues that is happening around us, it takes everything including politics, socials, economic issues, whatever it is, and we have the position to make our personal views and opinions on it. We now today can see we have a number of resources, platforms which provides you free service where you could come and you can address your issues. We can also expect someone to come and redress those issues, right? So when you have these opportunities, so it's very likely that people will come out and utilize this kind of platforms to raise their voices in order to make people notice that the society faces certain kind of discriminations and inequalities. So this woke particularly is used by many people in order to make the authority know that this is where the authority is doing wrong. This is where the certain segment of people are being discriminated, maybe on the ground of caste, religion, anything it could be. So it is an instrument, you can say. This woke particularly can be termed as an instrument. With the help of it, one may ensure a stability in a society, right? So it provides certain stability to a society in all ways, right? Now this is what the woke means in the entire phrase woke mind virus. But when we understand this entire phrase woke mind virus, now this gives us or make people feel that it imports such almost a negative connotation. But yes, it gives us a negative connotation because this woke mind virus is basically termed as that particular state of mind which somewhere is understood as an excessive demand of having and experiencing the correctness in the political field or social field or economic field, right? So it is something which we are demanding, and we want an absolute result on that, which is not possible in any societies because this imbalance and in terms of anything are always there as it was before, and it will always be with us. We can only balance this, we can only try to balance it, we can't do more than that, right? So this woke mind virus is used for a reason that some people come out in the public and they demand the government or the authority to take certain actions on certain situations, prevailing situations which they find are not according to their expectations, and therefore they seek for excessive correctness in that, which is not possible even in the hand of all these kinds of authority. Whereas when we talk about work always provides an extra hand to a common person, where a common person can really raise their voice and can feel that they are liberal, right? They can also freely exercise their freedom of expressions. When they have thing to express, they can do this. And it also provides, as I told in the previous part, that yes, it provides certain certainty of stability of a society. But woke mind virus is a little different term because it is always used. Most of the time, it has been seen that people use it to repress the voice. Many people, you know, get victimized sometimes out of this woke mind virus culture. I mean, I'm not reluctant and hesitant to say this. Recently, there is an incident took place. Abhinav Arora, who is just 10 to 12-year-old kid, and for last 1 to 2 years he has been on public medias, especially the social medias, right? And the way he was being represented so far was that he was introduced as some sort of a saint, right? But he just 7, 8 to 9 year old. Now he was, for I don't know what happened, he was called on a stage where some spiritual gurus who actually represents Hinduism, and he was sitting there and he called his all guards to tell him to go out of the stage where he was performing certain thing on the stage, right? So when this particular incident came out and went viral, many people started taking piss at this 10-year-old kid. Many people started unfollowing him. Even I don't know how many videos so far in last 5 or 2 or 3 days, ever since this particular incident came to limelight, that many videos have been created just to make a mockery about this 10-year-old kid, right? Earlier he had a lot of followers, but now there is a new, you can say, experience this little boy is facing, that is you know cancel kind of following. That's what we say in English term, right? When you follow someone for a longer period of
Unfollow.
time, but yes, but after that you find out that this man was not good, and this man doesn't deserve such kind of adulation and encomium from us, then we all of a sudden started unfollowing him. So that's all happened in this case. And that's all happened just because of this woke mind virus. Because many people found it so urgent to just hit him hard in that very harsh manner. And that's all the scene available in the YouTube. You can go and search. My all viewers can search it. So I mean, this is just a one incident which tells us how it could be more adversely affecting to the people, and to what extent it does the role to the mind of the particular person who is victimized in this case. Over to you.
Yes, this particular woke mind virus has given rise to one culture, and that is called woke culture. So can you tell me exactly now what is the nature of this woke culture? right? And so that people will get to know about this particular culture. This has come into being just because of this particular phrase that is called woke mind virus. So would you shed some more light on this particular particular thing? I mean, that woke culture, what this woke culture is in its entirety?
See, I may not be pretty much correct on the very part of its historical, evolutions in terms of its how it evolved as a concept. But I can surely tell you, according to the best knowledge I have on this particular, kind of issue, that there was a time when in Africa, many people were going through a very hard time, and many African people were facing discrimination on the ground of race, right? So this one segment was black in color, as we all know, and they faced a lot of criticism, discrimination. They had to face a lot. I mean, they were somewhere being compromised, especially on the methods of opportunities pertaining to employments and other aspects of life. So on all these aspects and in different status of life, they faced a lot of discrimination. So thereafter this woke culture emerged out, right? So there's racial apartheid, was somewhere, was somewhere projected, in the public as against the humanistic values, right? As it is against the human values, and it shows inhuman nature of a person, and therefore we must need to bring an urgent correctness in this. So this woke culture came right from this particular incident that one particular segment faced for a longer period of time, and now we can see this woke thereafter became a very strong instrument, because when you see this woke, when as a new issue is concern is raised in the society, and when it is accessed by a large number of people, and the large number of people starts subscribing to that particular idea and support that particular idea, then it is likely that such a thing could be produced as a result. So that's what happened today. We don't find that much kind of racial discriminations taking place anywhere across in the world. But however, those slight issues which keep coming, which is just like, as we can say, nothing can be eliminated absolutely, which is absolutely impossible. But I can say that woke culture initially, and the reason for what it was introduced, for whatever the reason, as we have discussed already, it really succeeded in its attempts. And ever since, we can see that how it is being used as a major instrument. I mean, thereafter, many people, even Mahatma Gandhi came out in the same light, right? He talked about the poverty. He talked about the poverty. He raised this poverty as a very very concerning issues in the society, and therefore it must be it must be treated, okay, with the efforts of all. So he demanded poverty to be reduced, poverty to be eliminated, right? So that's how the woke culture used in India by Mahatma Gandhi itself. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar is another example in the same line. He also did the same thing, because he talked about the untouchabilities. He talked about a particular segment of the people, right, who were facing discriminations on the ground of caste here in India. So he also helped elimination of this untouchability by introducing Article 17 of the Indian Constitution, which states that no one should be discriminated on the ground of caste. So all these are the upshot, the results of woke culture, which is absolutely fine. And I think it is needed at this point of time, where we are, racing ahead and competing with the other countries, because we need, equalities and justice to be prevailed in the society, for having the acceptance and for having the contribution from all segments of the people. Over to you.
Yes, one thing, as we know that when we start suspecting something, right, we can even start suspecting things which are really valid. And we don't really want them to happen because we are over suspect, suspicious. So,
Right.
in the similar light, in the same light, I want to ask you one question: that does the framing progressive ideologies as virus can legitimize the real and valid concerns?
Real invalid, see. First of all,
Real and valid concerns.
real valid concern.
Yes.
Okay. See, I mean, as I told you, I mean, we all are, inherited with this rationality. So, first of all, every situation, every particular concern is a different concern, right? So, we need to be very careful before we are being judgmental. So, we cannot disregard any, woke as a concern being raised by a majority of the people, disregarding as woke mind virus, as it is of no use and it doesn't ensures any stability, any transformation in the society. So we have to see the elements. First of all, we have to see the nature of the woke. We have to see the ground on which these people are raising this concern out of their awakening state of mind, and what kind of justice they are demanding, what kind of equality they are demanding. All these factors are involved there at the same time, right? So once we figure it out, whether the concern is valid and therefore it needs to be subscribed further, then I think it's better to go ahead with this, considering it's a woke, not a woke mind virus. So if we apply this kind of strategy by being very calm, not being judgmental and partial right from the beginning, because when we act prejudicially, it is often seen that we are going to affect something very badly, right? So we have to be, very impartial right in the beginning, especially before we make the final, conclusion on something. So if we apply this strategy as an action, as a mechanism, I hope that those really real important concerns which are there, like an ablazing concern in the society, can never be, you can say subsided, can never be undermined, right? So even when we have a woke mind virus, we, out of our own personal awareness, can really be able to make a distinction between what should be accepted and what should not be, right? So if we apply this all, kind of actions, and we, by being sagacious right from the beginning, I truly believe that we are not going to affect all those valid concerns at all, because valid concern will always be valid concern, because valid concerns are always supported by majority of the people, and which is like manifested through the actions of the people, which is like very much transparent in the society. For example, when we talk about untouchability, when we talk about poverty, when we talk about racial kind of discriminations that happened in Africa, I mean, these things were very popular. These things were very prevailing, right? At one point of time, no one can have a doubt or even an ounce of skepticism on that, especially that they should disregard it, they should deny it, refuse it as the as considering a valid concern, right? So I think, I mean, we, by doing a proper check to every particular, woke as an action coming out of a woke culture, we could really determine the real intention of the peoples. But it's very important, we are living in this political world. Since it's a political world, people are very much motivated by their politically vested interest. So we need to be very aware, and before we being judgmental on a thing, we need to be very, you know in thoroughly, you can say, understood about a particular concept, where, and before we consider it's a good concern or it's a valid concern for the society, so that we could manage, you know and continue to make a distinction between what is valid concern and what is not valid concern. By this, we will be able to solve issues, as well as we will try to save the resources and the energy and the money that is possibly going to be pumped in order to settle all those things. Over to you.
Yes, if we want the valid concerns to not to be surprised, not to be surprised, right? Then it is up to us whether we are ready to believe, the leaders, because sometimes, what happens, leaders are not actually going to be, working for you, in your favor,
Right.
because they somewhere or they want the things to work for them, right? They want to take advantage of the situations. So it is up to us, because we have got, rationality, we've got, we are sagacious, right? And we've got this the God has given us mind to think and to decide whether to go for one thing and not go for the thing, right? So we have to decide. So
Right.
if we are blindly following somebody, whether it's a leader, or anybody else, then we are more likely to be badly affected, right? So we have to be very much, very much cautious over here. And
Correct.
this prompts me to ask you one more question, and that is, I just taken down the note of that particular, question because it was so compelling, and
Yeah.
it is so deep that I thought of, writing it so that it doesn't escape my mind.
Right.
The question I'm going to ask you, because it is really important, because people must know all these things. If they don't know that, somewhere they're missing out on the things that they must know, right? The question I've taken down over here is wokeism a reaction to historical injustices, or a symptom of ideological overreach?
Okay, I mean, this is one I can say very interesting one because interesting. Why? Because my response is a mixed response to this question. According to my overall experience, what I have read and what I have seen as being a witness to what is happening in the society, especially by all those people who call themselves sitting at the highest position and very powerful people, especially political one, good and business tycoon, right? So can simply say that it is both. It is both in a sense that first of all, it is much motivated by the historical injustice, as we have already discussed three important issues. Racial discriminations that it was once prevailing, no one can deny. Second, we talked about poverty. India is still suffering from intense poverty. Still, a great section of people, is at that poverty line. And one example of it is that still, Indian, food system, provides 70 to 80%, food as a free supply to those all those people living under poverty line, right? So poverty is still prevailing. So I mean, if anything does out of a concern, or any voice is being raised out of a concern to eliminate this poverty, no one will say that it is not a valid concern, or it is a woke mind virus. Nothing, because it is a prevailing, a blazing concern, and that needs to be eliminated, right? And then third one, we discussed about all this that particular Bhimrao Ambedkar section on untouchability, right? So historical understanding, especially on this woke, is very much kind of acceptable. People don't deny this. Only people who is not ready to accept some brutal facts of the society may be very much diplomatic in giving responses to this. So this is the one side of the question. Now the second response to the second question, which is in the first question itself, that today, even as we talked about, people are coming with a lot of business minds, right? And they have positions, they have a full support, right? So moreover, they understand their power, their their presence in the society, right? So when they realize all these things, it is often seen that they are very much skilled in wheeling the people's mind in order to accept something as a concern of a society, even when that particular concern is not a real concern of the society. So just because of my favorite person has told me something as a real concern, I would then blindly accept and will also promote it, advocate it further, and being almost a supporter of that ideology. And then I will also try to make people know that certain concerns should be eliminated. So that's how some category of people, by using their power and positions, get support of a common people like us, and they make certain concerns which are not valid concern a concern, by just putting trust on it, by using social media, by using support, by using money power, right? So that is very complicated scene of a society, and then needs to be cautiously dealt with. Because if we be become a little careless in this and behave as negligently in this matter, then the situation could be even more worse. I mean, let's take an example of not all saints, but there is a section of saints who are there just for earning money using social media's network, and they keep raising such issues out of woke culture as the valid issues for the society. And these people, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever we say, have a large number of followers. So what the guru follows, the apprentice will also same will do the same, right? So that's how the things are going to be projected before us. But still, I say we have to be very careful in this and take a decision out of our application of discretion in every matters. Over to you.
Yes, it is, very well said, because everybody, in this world, that everybody is working for themselves. They
Right,
somehow want to use the situation to shoot up to fame, right?
right,
And
right.
this is, how they are lining the pockets as well. So we are educated, and we must know that following somebody blindly can somewhere lead us to some kind of danger. So we all are, I mean, whether we are followers or anybody, right? We may be the part of that particular ideology. We may be the part of, we may be the leader, right? We may be the follower, but we have to keep into account that we cannot follow anybody blindly, because somewhere, if somebody is leading you to some dangerous situation, so the person is not at all honest, and I would say they are not in your favor actually, and they are not thinking of you. Otherwise, it will be, they would not be guiding you to a situation which is going to be dangerous for you, right? So my
Right.
next question for you to answer is, tell me, how does media, what role does media play in amplifying this woke mind virus debate?
Um, I mean, there is much to be on the shoulder of media. Why media? Because media is an only passage or a bridge which heightens the issues or which may some sign helps to subside the issue. So it depends solely sometimes on the activation or activism of media. We see a certain matters, coming out of nowhere became a viral issue in just overnight. And that too happened by the, extra activism, especially extraordinary activism of media. We also know what happened few years back about Sushant Singh Rajput case
Mm-hmm.
and the new concern being raised out. And thereafter, this out of this woke mind virus, many Bollywood actors start being criticized for their being so much impartial, for their being so much hypocritic, as they don't care of their own colleagues and they are in their own business minds, and as well as they can also eliminate the toughest competitor if they really need. Salman Khan was one of those who was really put into the picture. And we can also see the repercussion of this woke mind virus is that thereafter the Bollywood movies, as earlier it was being seen as well as the kind of support it was getting somewhere gone reduced to a maximum, degree. That's what we have experienced even today. Many people have changed up their mind, right? They don't love to go to, watch movies in the theater. Moreover, they are shifting their interest from movies to something else. So this is all what you can say a result of woke mind virus, and that could only be possible with the help of this extraordinary or overwhelmingly, you can say activism of media. I can't forget the kind of coverage this media gave to this Sushant Rajput case. I mean, societal murder, whatever it is. But most of the channels were showing one thing, and it was always there, almost there for more than 3 to 4 months, and all of a sudden it went disappear in just overnight. The way it came, and as well as its disappearance, always was something not acceptable to me. And after it got disappeared, I mean, people forgot about it. People really forgot about it. People earlier were becoming more concerned about it. I think they forgot about it, and they then started, you know, liking their own actors. They started watching movies, and all things happened again. I mean, as it's something back to normalcy, whatever you can say. But what I'm trying to say in this whole picture, that how one particular media solely handled this entire issue and helped raise this issue to that extent where it went not just viral but also started getting popularity day after day. I mean, it went to the global platform where such discussions were being thoroughly discussed. Many people, panelists came, and they also had a discussion on this kind of Bollywood culture, a mafia-giri culture, right? So this media has a lot to do with this kind of woke mind virus. But as I can say, If the intention of the media is good and really wants to raise a good concern, then it's for the betterment of the society and it is good for the media. But if it does for their own personal vested interest, then I don't know what to say to this. Over to you.
Yeah, so my final question to you is I would also have my own take on it, but I would ask you first because this is a kind of virus, I would say. So there has to be done something about it, right? If we want to know the reality, we want to reach to the root of something, if we want to know something for what it is, then what should a person do? I mean, should they be believing whatever they listen to? So should they be believing whoever they follow? And should they be believing whatever is shown on the me or through the media? So what do you think? What should be done so that people don't actually they stop buying into the people's I would say ideologies, and they stop buying into just believing the person whoever or whatever they say. So how can what should they be doing so that they don't get fooled by people, so that don't they stop being affected by the things that happen afterwards? So yeah, this is something which I want to hear from you.
See, again, I say that it is all in the hands of people. But one thing which I can suggest to the people whomsoever come across with these kinds of concern, that they must first of all stop being a judgmental right in the beginning, because we know that we are highly subjugated to our sensitivity or emotions. So whenever we see anything which seems to be more harsh, that our sensitive doesn't accept it as is considering and coming terms with social standard norms, so we start disregarding it, we start canceling it particular as a subscription or as an ideology, right? So we start doing this particular thing right in the beginning. So my suggestion is that we need to be just an observer right in the beginning. So when anything comes out in the public, we need to be an observer without being a judgmental, and then we need to do a little search on it, a personal search, and that should be personally motivated, because it should be something which should not find its base on you know on some political interest or social interest. To some certain extent it's accepted, right? But it should not be a politically motivated action, right? So whenever we adopt this kind of approach, and then we conclude a certain issue should be held as a valid or invalid, then we are almost in a strong position to make a final conclusion on it, because we have gone through the entire situation. We have read about it a lot, we have seen the sides of both the parties, right? So if some concerns are being raised through any platform by some famous or a popular person, so we need to look both the sides, before we really have finalized that we should subscribe, this ideology or that ideology. Okay, so it is really important for every person, right? So this is even being very extensively covered by even Osho. He says that we need to be an observer first and without being judgmental, because when you apply this approach, it is likely that you are going to achieve a maximum fruits out of this particular process, right? Because we have a lot of time to gather data and then to finalize our over conclusion. The problem is that people don't do that, and even they don't do anything and don't know anything about about the issue being raised as a woke culture, out of a woke culture. They start criticizing it or even advocating it, which is really harmful, and I think this practice must be stopped. What do you?
Yes, and what I would like to say is when something happens, we should stop giving knee-jerk reaction to it, right? Because, when we do this, actually, we are not able to decide because we have just heard about it, we have just seen it, but we have never, observed it. So we should be taking our own time. We should be trying to know what it is for, and why, what, why it is being done, and what can be the consequences of this particular thing, and then only we should be reaching a particular conclusion, right?
Right.
We cannot simply be doing something because somebody else, or somebody who is very near and very close to us, and somebody who we follow now very blindly. We should stop following people blindly, because
Right.
some it is going to be very harmful to people, as well as ourselves, and the society at large. So before we subscribe to any ideology, any faith, any religion, and because religion never teaches us something or something,
Right.
it never teaches us to do something bad, right? It never teaches us to do some kind of violence. And in fact, it is humans own creation, I would say, because it has never been written by anybody, right? Even the people have never written something like that. So it is people's minds creation. It is done by people for their own benefits. So instead of letting people take advantage of the situations, or letting people milk the situation, we should be observing the things very minutely. And
Yeah.
once we are satisfied that yes, now we have decided, we have really found out what we were looking for, then we should be reaching the conclusion. So we should never be
Right.
in a tearing hurry to conclude something, and then only we will stop being affected by this woke mind virus. and
Right.
and and the kind of society will be there, which we have always dreamt for, right? And with this particular particular question, I'm going to say something to the audience who is watching this particular episode, that all our videos, whatever we are creating, whatever content we are creating, we are always coming with some new topics and interesting topics. And this is just because we want people to know how they can become a good public speaker, because this is the topics we always opt for are on the spur of the moment, right? And this is just because we want to let people know that if you want to become a good public speaker, then there has to be, you have to follow certain systems, certain process which can help you become a good public speaker, and how you can manage the things, even though you are not doing something off the cuff, you are not at all prepared, and still you can manage the things. And this is what we want to teach people through our videos. And our all videos are basically centered on public speaking, so that people can develop and cultivate this particular art and skill, and they can become a fine speaker, a nice speaker. And they can also have people spellbound with the communication skills, no matter what language they are speaking in, right? So it is not about language, it is not about the actually it is all about knowledge, and it is all about the way you are projecting yourself, the way you are expressing yourself, and how effective you can be while you are talking to people. And one more thing we would like to tell our audience, that we would also be creating some videos and some content on how people can become a good storyteller, because that is really very much important. Whether you are a marketing person, or you are a salesperson, or you may be a director, you may be anybody, right? Storytelling always plays a vital role in people's career, because whatever you're doing, whether you're taking team meetings, or you're conducting team meetings, whether you are selling something to people, you have to tell a story to everybody, right?
Right.
And this is what we want people to master. And once they master this particular art, they will be climbing the ladder of success, right? And that is that is something which everybody dreams about, right? So with this, I'm gonna end this video, and we are going to come with a lot of interesting topics, and they all are going to have this particular thing, and that is called public speaking. Means you will be able to master this particular art. And but this is what, why, and how can we say this, because we've been doing the same thing for almost a decade, and
Right.
we now know that in what situations a person can speak effectively and very freely, and without without feeling nervous, right? So all our videos are going to be very interesting. So stay tuned so that you can know this particular art, and that is called storytelling and public speaking. So for the time being, I'm taking a leave, and I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah. Good night.